Hey guys, this is Blue Forest. I hope you're doing well. So this is a very exciting day because Slipstream has arrived. And I was very pleasantly surprised when they announced she would be coming. I'm a big fan of the character, so I'm really excited to try her out and hopefully get her as a 5-star before too long. The first thing I wanted to point out is that if you scroll down to the bottom of your bot roster, you will see the headshots for both Slipstream and Rodimus are now here. So Slipstream is going to be a scout, like many of us thought, because we did not previously have a scout seeker, and Rodimus is going to be a tactician. So we're going to go over Slipstream's kit, her abilities, give a pretty good look at it, and I have to say I'm pretty impressed with it. We're going to take a look at the new time slide, talk about the new event that is going on for Slipstream. And so they are running a 5-week event for her, just like they did for Ironhide, and so I imagine that Rodimus will probably come out shortly after that. So with that said, let's take a look at Slipstream, and we can get a look at her at rank 6 when she's maxed out. First of all, I think she looks awesome. She's got a great color scheme, and she also looks really cool in her jet form, so I'm really happy with the way that they designed her. And so in terms of her kit, she has a lot of abilities that very few other bots have, all kind of rolled into one, and that makes me pretty excited for her. We'll come back to her SIG and her synergies because I can read through them at the end, but her primary abilities are going to be her crit rate buffs, backstabs, which is a brand new ability, and her power drain. These will increase with rank. So passively, she has a 10% chance to evade heavies for each debuff on the opponent. That can be stacked up to 90%. So she will have some evasion on heavies, and evasion is always helpful. But when it comes to her own heavy, she is invulnerable to ranged attacks in her jet mode, just like Windblade. This is a great defensive ability. It gives you some protection. It's very helpful against those tricky range specials like a Blaster Special 2 or a Mixmaster Special 2. And she has a 100% chance to gain 15% additional crit damage for 7 seconds. I love that it's 100%. It is not RNG based, and you can use this over and over again. So you land a heavy, then you land a combo, or you do another attack, you're going to be getting additional crit damage. When it comes to her basic ranged attacks, she has a 100% chance to nullify a shield buff. This is awesome. Very few bots in the game can nullify or break shields. She will be able to, and she will have a 100% chance to do so. Very useful against tech bots, very useful in some time slides, and she's going to have a 30% chance to gain 20% attack over 5 seconds. So, with basic range attacks, you're obviously landing a lot of them. You're probably going to be able to get that really nice attack boost pretty consistently as well. So with medium combos, on the last hit, she will Purify Shock. She is going to have some purification. And if she does Purify Shock, she will land her own shock debuff, dealing 60% attack over 8 seconds. So that's pretty cool because she will Purify Shock and then land Shock at the same time. And she will get a 10% increased crit rate for 6 seconds. So that's another really nice ability there. So now we're at Backstab. This is brand new. I'm really happy they've introduced something new. So when she lands a crit, she will have a 60% chance to apply a Backstab debuff. This will also go up with rank, but even at rank 4 or rank 5, you're probably going to be able to land a Backstab pretty frequently, especially since as a scout, she's probably going to be critting pretty often. So she cannot perform Backstab while she has any damaging debuffs, but when she does, she will cycle through one of 3 debuffs, either a 20% critical resistance debuff, a power rate down debuff for 30%, or a backfire debuff. All of these for 8 seconds. Now, they can only be stacked up to 1 each, but you could land one of each of them, And like I said, since she's probably going to crit pretty often, you could land multiple debuffs on the opponent, and all 3 of these, crit resistance, power rate, and backfires, are all useful. And I'm really happy to see that she also backfires because very few bots in the game do. So when it comes to her specials, the last hit will have a 20% chance to inflict repair block for 6 seconds. The chance will go up by 10% for each debuff on the opponent, but if it's a critical hit, it'll be a 10-second repair block. So repair block, that's another one, right? Only a few bots have it, like Cheetor and Shockwave. So she will also be able to repair block at least sometimes. That'll certainly be useful in some fights. With her special 2, the first hit will have a 50% chance to power rate down, and if it's a crit, it'll be a 9-second power rate down instead of 5, so that gives her some increased power control. And then her special 3, this sounds like a monster, she will apply 3 backfire debuffs for 15 seconds. So not only is it 3 backfires, but that's a very long backfire. And on top of that, they will not be able to be purified. So a bot like TC is not going to be able to purify those backfires, and she'll have a 60% chance to inflict power leak, draining 25% of the opponent's power. The power leak will also increase with rank, but that's a really nice special 3. Backfires that cannot be purified, they're long, and power leak. So as you can see, there's a lot going on here. She's got some power control, she has backfires, she has repair blocks, she has this backstab with these interesting debuffs, she can nullify shields, she can purify shock, she can shock herself, she gets crit buffs, she gets attack buffs, she is invulnerable to range attacks with her heavy. So there's a lot going on here, and that makes me very excited to use her. And so let's take a look at her SIG and her synergies, okay? So her SIG, Exploit Weakness. She has a 1 to 50% chance to refresh a debuff on the opponent. If the opponent has less than 4, it increases the chance by 20%. Now, this is the kind of SIG that you look at it and you think, okay, 1 to 50%. So assuming that at SIG 1, it is only a 1% chance, that seems crazy low, and it's also not going to scale, right? Assuming that SIG 100 is a 50% chance. That's true. However, remember that if the opponent has less than 4 debuffs, which they often probably will, you automatically increase the chance by 20%, which is a lot. And here's the thing. She has a chance to inflict her SIG with all ranged and light attacks. You're going to be using lots of ranged and light attacks, so I would imagine that even at low SIG, she will have a pretty decent chance to end up refreshing debuffs more consistently than you might think. Obviously, we need to test this out, but I would not be surprised that even at low SIG, she is able to refresh debuffs at least somewhat consistently. So I think it's an interesting idea. I'm very curious to test it. In terms of her synergies, I'm really happy because unlike bots like Skywarp or Ironhide, who had very few when they came out, they still don't have many synergies. She has a much more comprehensive synergy pool at the start. So she gets between 5 and 8% increased crit chance with Windblade. She has this very cool synergy with Starscream, Ramjet, and Grinder, where she's getting 7 to 16% attack against bots with an aerial alternate form. Now, first of all, 7 to 16% is a lot. That's a big attack boost. But also, there's a bunch of bots in the game with an aerial heavy. So there's a lot of fights where this will actually be very applicable if you're running with Starscream, Ramjet, or Grinder. And she has this new synergy, which is interesting, where she'll get 5 to 15% additional backfire damage with the other backfire bots, Barricade, Scorponok, and Jazz. So this is new and this is cool. So particularly if you like to use bots like Scorp or Barricade, it's a mutual synergy. So that will increase the backfire damage, and her leadership will be crit rate. So these synergies are way better and much more comprehensive than the last few bots that we had. So it's a very good start, and I think they will be very helpful to her. So overall, I'm really impressed. Obviously, we need to test her. We need to see what's going on, in actual gameplay. But I really like what I see so far, and she has a lot of interesting and rare abilities that, like I said, a lot of other bots don't have. So with that said, I wanted to mention that we do now have this new time slide, the new Bot Incursion, a bad name. So it looks like we're not fighting against her, at least not in terms of bosses. We're fighting against Jetfire, Dinobot, and Demotron. So she will probably be a boss in the next time slide. But I imagine that in this one, she will probably have dialogue. And then we also have the latest showcases. So the bots of the month, the featured bots, are going to be Primal, Cheetor, Kickback, and Tantrum. So all of them are very good in their own way. Obviously, if you're looking to build a Beast Wars team, getting a Primal dupe will be a good idea for you. Tantrum is a little tricky to use, but he's very strong. And both Cheetor and Kickback are great. So save up your bot chips. We have 4 bots that you can buy over the course of the next 5 weeks. So since they're starting with Primal, I imagine that Slipstream will be last in the final week. And then I also just wanted to highlight the updated calendar because we have the Vicious Mockery event because we're going to be earning these shards, right? So we have the Vicious Mockery crystal shards, and then we have the Elite Vicious Mockery crystal shards. So kind of like with the Ironhide event, you're getting these 2 to 4 star crystals and the 3 to 5 star crystals. So I would definitely get as many of these as you can, especially if you want to be able to pull her as a 4 or 5 star. If you want to have the best chance possible, complete as many of these objectives as you can. Now, they do already have these crystals available for Energon. I would not recommend buying them for Energon because your chance of getting her as a 5 star or even as a 4 star is very low, right? So in the elite ones, it's a 0.5% chance. So I would not blow Energon on it. I would simply save up all of those shards and then open them at once, and maybe you will luck out. So in terms of getting her, I did notice that she is currently in the store already for $100, right? So this will run for a week, okay? Now, I've said this many times. If you want to spend money, spend money. That's entirely up to you. I am going to consider it, but I want to wait and see what she's actually like when people start to get her. And I would just caution you, she is a brand new bot. New bots often have bugs. They're not always fully formed. There's often sort of quirks to work out. So, you know, if you want to rush out and buy her, by all means do so, but I'm certainly going to wait before I hear a few reviews of her before I even think about buying her for money. And the nice thing is, I would say it's very likely anyway that they will release her for Energon, just like they did with Skywarp and Ironhide. That 3,500 Energon deal will probably come at some point in the next 5 weeks. Now with Skywarp, it was at the beginning of the cycle. With Ironhide, it was towards the end. So if you want to have a guaranteed chance to get her as a 5 star, if I were you, I would save your Energon and hopefully that deal will come. It's not guaranteed, but I would not be surprised. And so I'm certainly going to save up my Energon to see if I can buy her that way, especially if I don't end up getting her through crystals. And then I just finally wanted to say that we have these daily deals like we often do. Right now we have the mission energy, but I just wanted to point out that in the next few days, it is very likely that the SIG deal and then the T5B, T4C deal will very likely come in the next 2 to 3 days because it's usually around the 20th. So that 2,400 Energon deal where you get the T5B and T4C, that's certainly going to be soon. So anyway, guys, let me know your thoughts on Slipstream. Let me know if you're planning on getting her, whether buying her or just trying to pull her. I also am very curious to see her animations. Do they have any new animations? Let me know once you get through the new time slide, how that was for you. In the meantime, take care of yourselves and we will speak again soon.